Let's get right into audience questions today. Last set of audience questions before our little vacation, and then we'll be back and we'll take more of them. Cancel culture. Got a very interesting question. We know, David, that the right hates cancel culture, supposedly, but how do they believe it should be fixed anyway? Isn't any, quote, solution authoritarian by definition? This is a great point. Essentially, all answers for how the right wants to fix the problem of cancel culture are extremely authoritarian, other than just like culture changing where people don't say when they don't like something anymore, which I don't know how you achieve. I don't know how you would ban cancel culture or the fact that actions have consequences. And sometimes people will tweet about it. Sometimes people will tell a business, I'm not going to buy your product because of this or that or the other thing that you as a company said or one of your employees said or whatever. Any of those actions would be authoritarian and they would be against what they claim their views to be. Remember, the right says they're about free speech and people getting to say what they want and businesses not being regulated. Any way that you try to fix what they define as cancel culture would either require limiting businesses, regulating businesses somehow so they can't act on whatever information they want, assuming it's not illegal, like someone's race or religion, to say, we don't want to work with you anymore, you're fired or whatever. That's very heavy-handed authoritarian business regulation, which the right claims to be against. Saying people don't have the right to tweet their displeasure at what a celebrity or a business said. They don't have the right to announce and carry out a boycott on a business because that's what they want to do. It's all insanely authoritarian. There would be no conceivable legislative solution to, quote, cancel culture that wouldn't violate or in some other ways violate the First Amendment or limit speech. So what you have to, once you understand there's no legislative way to deal with cancel culture, you have to realize that the continued demands from the right to deal with cancel culture either go against the very First Amendment they claim to defend or are merely pandering. And that's one of the most important things I think that we can take away from this discussion, which is that many of these right wingers and some on the left who are talking about cancel culture, not as something that happens infrequently and that we should really and think about and evaluate and say, what makes sense? When they are talking about it, they don't even really want a solution in the sense that they know there isn't going to be one. This is just a cultural reality. Speech, elections do have consequences. Speech has consequences, and those consequences in most cases are also protected by the First Amendment as far as the government is involved, by business freedom when businesses are involved, etc. Now, we can't ignore the huge hypocrisy from the right on this issue. Who are the two biggest victims of cancellation that you can think of over the last 20 years? For me, they're clear. It's the Dixie Chicks, who are a country music band. But when they came out against George W. Bush's foreign policy, the right, which is very intertwined with country music, canceled them. They were blacklisted from so many radio stations. And the right said, Dixie Chicks are over. Colin Kaepernick. These two biggest instances of these cancellations that the right claims to be against were done by the right. And then you had people throwing, Keurigs out the window. Starbucks was bad. The NFL for the kneeling. Amazon for saying we're not going to host Parler. Taylor Swift when she came out and took political positions. The right loves to cancel people using their terminology, but they claim to be against it. And so this entire thing is a ruse. Now, as I talked about last week, during our interview with Professor Kovalik, just because we can identify some instances where someone was wrongly shamed or fired doesn't mean we call this an epidemic. And he actually agreed with me on that issue. And you bring me a wrong decision that was made, and if it was indeed made wrongly, I'll be right there with you. It's no problem whatsoever. But we can't allow these right wingers to claim they're against cancel culture when they're some of the biggest cancelers. Look at what Republicans did to Cindy McCain. Cindy McCain, the widow of the late Senator John McCain, was censured because she didn't want to vote for Trump. She wasn't voting for Trump. They are complete and total hypocrites. And this is really getting to the key thing, which is any solution that they would propose would be extraordinarily authoritarian and arguably against the First Amendment. And many of them don't really want solutions. They just want to pander. And unfortunately, it's working very well. They're getting a lot of mileage out of this Dr. Seuss cancel culture stuff. What if you could read 10 books in just one sitting? That's exactly what one of my favorite apps lets you do. It's called Blinkist. And what they do is take thousands of popular nonfiction books. They condense them down into text or audio that you can consume in 15 minutes. Blinkist makes sure that you're getting all of the important core insights from each book. So it's perfect for exploring a book you otherwise wouldn't have time for. If there's a full book you're thinking about buying, you can use Blinkist to get a sample first. Just think how much you can enrich yourself by being able to soak up an entire nonfiction book in just 15 minutes. I recently checked out the book Podcast Marketing Strategy by Daniel Rolls and Kieran Rogers, and so useful, so particularly applicable to what I'm doing. Really recommend it. Blinkist has books on politics, philosophy, science. They have 27 different nonfiction categories, and a subscription is only about $8 a month, and you get the entire library. But you can try it totally free and get 25% off a subscription when you go to Blinkist.com/Pakman. I've put the link right underneath this video.